How's it going, all you beautiful people? It's your boy Wardy, and we're back at it talking about some baseball. Not as much about the New York Metropolitans today, which is something that we typically do here on WardyNYM, the largest Mets YouTube channel, not directly affiliated with the Mets or SNY, but rather talking about the Hotlanta Braves, or should I really just say the Braves, because the whole Hotlanta aspect has really cooled off quite a bit as their postseason run has already come to an end in the first round, once again, to those same Philadelphia Phillies for back-to-back years. Two back-to-back historic seasons, record-breaking seasons. The best offense imaginable this year musters on average 2 runs per game, and they're set against the Phillies, and is embarrassed and has their best LOL Mets impression with the nonsense surrounding Orlando Arcia and everything on that front, with the Philadelphia Phillies wearing shirts in their clubhouse talking about that exact quote. It doesn't get much better than that. So today's video is initial reaction to this series news as a Mets fan, and really sharing my thoughts as someone that of course has had that humble slice of pie plenty that we saw from the Mets season last year. I've talked plenty. I love talking trash. I love the rivalries, and I have no problem hearing it back, especially when, you know, the Mets are getting whipped around left and right against the Braves, in which this past season was certainly that exact thing. But for the Braves fans out there, when there's a lot of them, you know who you are. So all the Braves fans out there that have the audacity, that went out of their way to comment in every single live show and video, regardless if I'm talking about Atlanta or not, and just stating, you know, F the Mets, F you, all this stuff, we're 100% going to win the World Series. Here's a big old slice of humble pie, I hope it tastes good, because you're going to be eating that for a while. Color me surprised, the Atlanta Braves, with yet another record-breaking regular season, dominating the NL East, winning the division for like the billionth time, and nothing to show for it. I feel like I've seen this story before, so I'm sorry. I know that this is going to ruffle some feathers, but quite frankly, I don't care, because this is part of the game. If you're going to sling it, you got to be able to take it back, and it doesn't matter that this doesn't regard the Mets. If you're going to talk the talk and say that, oh, we're 100% winning the World Series this year, and all these things, and these things don't happen, this is where we come into play. This is where we make things an even slate, right? So let's just talk quite a bit. And Mets fans, I want to know your reactions down below. And I understand this is a very unorthodox video. This is not the typical videos we do here on WardyNYM. But I want to mix it up a little bit, especially given the fact that the Mets aren't in postseason play right now. And two teams, us Mets fans, hate we're just up against each other. It's like the lesser of evils, basically. And the Atlanta Braves and their fandom just so unhinged on another level that Philadelphia Philly fans, they didn't even compare this year. And as someone who truly despises Philly as a Mets fan, all the respect in the world to them, though, at the same time, really, with how this year went. I know it goes in hand with the Mets. The Mets have performed well against the Phillies in the past couple of years in the regular season. This year, the Mets were 6-7 against the Phillies, if I'm not mistaken, in their matchups. But point being is that the Mets still tend to do well against the Phillies, all things considered. So that animosity with the fans hasn't been there as much, especially on the social media level. But Braves and Mets fans, we know the story. It's been like this for the past year, two plus now, where you have these two teams, these two fan bases going at it so hard against each other, and I love it. Rivalries are my favorite aspect of the game of baseball and all sports. I thrive off of it. I love it, and it hurts so much when you're getting dominated by the team you hate, but it feels so good when you're dominating that team you hate, that exact same one, and it feels so good to see them in pain, right? The same way that those same fans, these Braves fans, that were eating up my tears for breakfast all season long with the Mets season being over before it even really started, and then getting absolutely whipped around left and right by the Braves in their last series, outscored 100-1, it felt like, with all that pain for all those fans that just were reveling and coming on the channel just for the purpose of seeing me upset and mad as a Braves fan. This feels good. This feels really good. We're in the same spot. Whoop the effing do. Wow, you had a record-breaking season. Congratulations. Don't get me wrong, that's not something that should be scoffed at. That was a huge year for you Braves fans and the team in general. You guys had a tremendous season, truly. And I'm not going to take that away from you whatsoever, because there's no reason to. However, what I am going to say is it's hilarious that after all these record-breaking home run rates and everything that you did, you played 4 more games than the Mets and plenty of other teams in baseball. And you did The writing felt like it was on the wall. This Braves team, I said it time and time again, it would be truly an utter embarrassment if they do not win it all this year with the amount of talent that they have. And you can't even look at their starting pitching and say, hey, that was a massive factor for their lack of success in playoffs, because that wasn't the case. Spencer Strider, everyone's favorite if you're a Mets fan, right? Of course, balled out in game 1, and now in this final game here, of course, there's some sarcasm involved in this. And between all this going on, poking the bear, you're eating this up for breakfast as not only a baseball fan, but as a Mets fan, just seeing this whole thing unravel. What happened with the Atlanta Braves here feels eerily similar to us Mets fans and just pain, embarrassment that we have endured. It really even reminds me of last year, as a matter of fact, because albeit I know it was such a tough end to the regular season for the Mets last year, losing the division to the Braves, but they were still a 101 win season team that year, and they were above 500 in the final month of baseball. Even when they had their biggest struggles, they were still above 500 in those singular months. Then as you got to the postseason, we all knew what happened there in the wild card round, and the Mets couldn't handle the pressure, and neither can the Braves. They really can't. They could not handle Philadelphia whatsoever. Philly fans, of course, massive credit to them for, balling out the way that they do. As much as I despise Philly fans, especially because I go to Philly quite often for games, it's always fun, but, they're fans. It's always this back and forth, and I love the rivalry. Something that I always give credit for is, they're passionate, to say the least, right? And they show up. I appreciate fan bases, no matter how much I love or hate them. I appreciate ones that show up and get so loud and rattle the opposing team to the point where it may impact their play. And I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that the Braves, they got rattled. And that Orlando Arcia quote changed quite a bit. Bryce Harper, sticking down 2 baseballs out of here, out of sight. Signed up the boy. That's Lindor on Giancarlo Subway Series 2021. That's the first thing I thought of. Nicky C with 4 bombs in 24 hours. Insane. Truly insane for the Phillies. And again, they deserve all the credit in the world for what they did. And the Atlanta Braves here, as a Mets fan, I have to enjoy this for the short period of time that I can. For all the fans out there. For all of them that had the nerve to act the way that they did. Not only with us Mets fans, and just Mets in general, but just across baseball. The obnoxiousness I felt like we saw here. The big you-know-what swinging fans out there. Granted, I get the cockiness. The Braves dominate all year. 1,000%. I fully believe that they should have won the World Series. But I said, and I'll say it again, there would be nothing more embarrassing than the Braves falling short again this year, including the fashion in which they did. The manner in which they did would get headlines for LOL Mets for the next year, at minimum, if this was Mets. The same exact situation that happened. Braves, I hope we start to see something, okay? Because this is it's hilarious. It actually is. The same way the cockiness with the regular season, we all get like this as fans. We all get animated, but just so hilarious that even though that the Braves, you've had all this dominant regular season success, how many chips, especially in recent years, aside from, of course, a couple years ago, and that was a great run for you guys, it's not too much to show for it. And as a Mets fan, I know that we got very little to show for it as well. But the point is, over the past how many years, there really isn't much of a difference. It's crazy. You dominate the NL East. You've won it literally a bazillion times. I feel like you've won it every single year since I've been born. And what's there? What's there, right? The Philadelphia Phillies, if there's one thing that the Mets, Braves, and other teams can look at when evaluating the Phillies, it's that even though that they might not look like, say, the prettiest signings, balling out, spending money, and getting guys, glue guys, impactful guys, big bat guys, but also solidifying a rotation in the bullpen is going to get you far. And more than anything, it's not just the type of big bat guys that these are. As awesome as that Braves team is, and trust me, it's awesome. They have so much talent, it's ridiculous. I know that they're going to be killing the Mets for years to come until the Mets really get themselves right. Hopefully that starts in 2024 and beyond. But the Phillies, they have dogs. They have dogs. They have the right attitude. And especially when you're an all-star athlete. I think of Michael Jordan. You think of just all the studs out there, the best of all time. What made them so great? It was a mentality of always thinking that the opposing team or players were out to get them, that there's automatically a chip on their shoulder, that there's that frustration, that there's that heat. This Orlando Arcia situation was the perfect storm here, and it's something that we as Mets fans have seen plenty of times backfire in our faces. The same Braves fans that were printing t-shirts this year saying throw it again because of the Pete Alonso quote, to now t-shirts in the locker room of the Phillies wearing Arcia's quote. It's rich. It's baseball. It's hilarious, and I love it. So I'm just dishing this out as someone that can at least be bubbly a little bit about a failure for an opposing club for a short period of time. And for Mets fans that endured and were frustrated all year long, that were beyond frustrated with interactions with specific fans, enjoy this as well. It's a slice of humble pie. And to all the Braves fans out there that have been followers in the channel, that are supportive, that are respectful, seriously, thank you guys. I love you all to death. I don't care who you're a fan of. If you're a supporter of mine, then I'm a supporter of yours. Seriously. And if you're being respectful, if you're talking smack while the Mets are getting whipped, it's 100% justified. There's nothing wrong in that whatsoever. So that too is perfectly fine and well and okay. So to all those fans, and because we have a large contingency of Braves following here on WardyNYM because of this rivalry, I appreciate all you loyal followers. Even if you guys follow me but still hate me, I appreciate you guys too. It just, I can't get enough of this, and I love reacting in this type of manner, and it's just hilarious. I just can't get enough of it. I really can't. It really is hilarious to me how everything went this season with the build-up, with the Mets, the expectations to build up, to falling, to then the Braves, the expectations, how would they handle losing Dansby Swanson, and then they have just a miraculous year, and Ozzie Albies did exactly what I thought he was going to do heading into the season. Tremendous year, fully healthy. Cunha, of course, just a season even better than I could have ever imagined. Just an amazing run overall, but they lacked the snarl. They lacked the it factor. They lacked the backbone. They lacked that I don't give a damn, I'm going to go out there and ball out mentality. The Phillies had it. We see it with other teams. The Dodgers had it. The Dodgers didn't have it. The D-backs did. That's going to be a really exciting series. Tommy Pham, baby, let's go. In all seriousness, though, you got to have that it factor. You got to have that snarl. Phillies have that. They got those personalities. They got Schwarbo. They got Nicky C especially. You got Bryce, of course, leading the way. When healthy, as much as I really despise him, probably my least favorite Philly is Rhys Hoskins, but Rhys just in that environment too. And Trey, there's so much there. The Phillies have something going right, and it wouldn't shock me in the slice if they actually ended up winning it all this year. And the Braves and us, Braves fans, you're with us now. That's all I got to say. So here's to 2024 and seeing what that brings and who is going to have the upper hand in the shit talking during the regular season. And ultimately, what is that going to mean for postseason? Is it even going to be meaningful, or is it just going to be a whole lot of nonsense that ends up with us, all just eating our own words or, biting our tongue at the end of the day? So Mets fans, Braves fans, whoever you're a fan of, I want to know your reaction in the comments down below to just the entire playoff overall between the Phillies and the Braves. The Braves fans, if you're a Braves fan, I want to know how you're feeling, how you feel about what's been going on right now, and that your season has come to an end. Mets fans, I'm really curious, how do you feel out of this? Like, who are you rooting for, if at all, in this series? How do you feel? Are you like me, where you just kind of like, finally, it's like a nice slice of humble pie for the opposing team and fan base? Do you not care? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know. I'm just really curious because I love rivalries. They're my favorite aspect, again, of the game, of baseball and sports as a whole. So just doing reactions like this and having, even if it's a toxic comment section, it's just fun interaction. So I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say. But stay tuned, guys. We have plenty of content coming out, a bunch for the MLB offseason, a bunch for the Mets here. So stay tuned, buckle up, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.